This is the Highland NAC. I'm the chair, Adam Gretzinger. This is our October 14th, 2021 meeting. Miles will not be with us tonight, so I will be doing most of the technical stuff to keep us moving. And we are going to have to rearrange this schedule just a little bit because we won't have Miles back until later in the meeting because he has a conflict. With that, I'm Adam Gretzinger. I'm the chair. And Konnette and Reggie, could you introduce yourselves? And not attending tonight, Annie couldn't make it.
Yes.
Ryan couldn't make it, and Juanita is on the phone. Konnette, could you introduce yourself? Maybe Reggie, could you introduce yourself?
Hey, I don't know if you can see me. I'm Reggie Frumkin, and I'm the vice chair of the Highland NAC.
Thank you. Konnette, did you want to introduce yourself? Or if you're busy, we can just move on. You're unmuted already. Okay. She's busy. First, let's have our guest introduce herself. Officer McCullough is new to us. We're told that Officer Barrett received a promotion and will not be joining us anymore. And Officer McCullough is our replacement. So could you just briefly introduce yourself? And you're first on the agenda. So you could introduce yourself and then share what you do in the police department, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, of course. My name's Joseph McCullough, or Officer McCullough. I'm a community service officer for the city of Beaverton. I work mostly with the courts as well as with the bike team. Our unit handles a lot of parking complaints, and then all court transports as well as custodies, and then as well as transports of prisoners. So we do a lot of parking complaints. We handle quite a bit. So anytime there's a parking complaint, usually we'll be the ones that take care of it. And then any court custodies and then court security with judges. That's our main focus. And I'm actually the first community service officer to be part of a NAC, as I volunteered for this position. Getting into public service, I really wanted to do public outreach as my sort of focus. I love working with the public and being transparent for especially enforcement agencies.
Okay. Do you have information you want to share with us? Why don't we just take care of your agenda item?
Yeah, I have a couple things to actually go over. So
if you want to share, I can stop sharing.
Oh no, I have printouts here. I didn't know if you wanted it on the screen. Yeah. Okay. It's just the basic crime analytics for the thing. So there's was 10 crimes total categories that it fell under for the Highland area. It would be assault offenses, which were 3, which are simple assaults, were 3 of them. Counterfeiting / forgery was 1. Larceny and theft offenses were 7. Robberies was 1. Sex offense forcible was 1. That's a total in that group, which is the A group, was 13. Then in the B group, there was driving under the influence was 1. Liquor law violations, which was 2. Runaways was 1. Trespassing for real properties was 1. And then other offenses was 12. B group totaled 17. Total grand total for both groups was 30, which is up from last month by 5. And then from last year at this month was 22, so 30. So it's a little higher than last year's. And that would be it for the crime analytics. You can find all this on the website by going to the PD and then going under crime reports. And then from there, it will take you to crime analytics. So it's, and you can source it by any neighborhood or citywide. With that, we also have on Saturday, the 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Beaverton, the Public Safety Building, we have our Drug Take Back Day, which is the DEA National Drug Take Back Day. That's going to be if you have any medication you'd like to get rid of, such as you got controlled, non-controlled substance, over-the-counter substances, both solid and liquids will take, as long as the liquids are in their container that they were sealed in the original one. That will be dropped off on the main street side, which is in the back of the PD. There's a roundabout so we don't block traffic at all. Some drugs that we will not take or materials are intravenous drugs or IV solutions, injectables, inhalants, syringes, chemotherapy medication, vapes that you cannot take the battery out of, and then medical waste. And that's on the 23rd of this month. And yeah, so it's a good program. We get a lot of used drugs and medication off the streets, and then and we can safely dispose of them. And the last thing that I have to cover is the Beaverton Victim Advocate volunteer training. So right now, if you were to go to the website and then type in Beaverton Victim Advocate volunteer training, it'll be the first one to pop up for volunteering. And basically, we're taking applications from now until the end of the month. It's for if you want to get involved with any sort of domestic violence sort of calls and stuff, you have to take at least 2 shifts per month. So a total of 24 shifts in a year.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Did you have a question, sir?
I think he was just reestablishing his tech.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, so that with that, so you have to take 24 shifts in a month, but and you also have to attend the 2022 Victim Advocate Training Academy. So there is the you would send an email to there and they'll send you a job description of what the essential functions are. If they primarily respond to domestics to like have post care for any of the victims, but it could be any crime other than sexual assaults is the one that you cannot cover. And there's an application, and then they can go over all the information. It's pretty simple to apply, and then you have to go through the training. But yeah, if you would like to get involved, the Beaverton Police Department would love to have you. So that I believe is everything I have on my agenda, unless anybody has any questions for me.
So Officer McCullough, that program, we can promote that on our social media. We would just need maybe an email with that information.
Yeah.
And we can get it out to our wider audience to get people to at least look at it.
Of course. And you have your email, I believe, attached to the agenda, correct?
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll have it put in the minutes, and we'll get it promoted on the social media as well.
All right, perfect. I appreciate that.
And I think we don't want to throw you in the deep end the first time. Maybe next time you could tell us more about your role and how we saw the district attorney last month.
Yeah.
For Washington County, and he specifically mentioned the difference in the minor crimes that Beaverton prosecutes them.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us about that since you're closer to that.
I'd love to elaborate if you want to have time.
Well, let's do it next month.
Okay.
but,
yeah, I'll make a note of it.
Each of the police officers we've had has brought something to the table, like the bike enforcement team, traffic and patrol. So this is just a new area for us.
Okay.
That you could share what you know.
Oh, of course. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I work very closely with the courts.
And anyone else have questions for the officer for this month? For the folks that are on the phone, it's *6 if you'd like to unmute, or you can request to talk if you're using the app. We may not have any questions queued up for you, but all right. Nobody's got a question. So next, let's move on to the Park District, and we finally have Liana with us, and didn't have to cancel the Park District. So Liana, would you like to take
Yeah,
over?
sure.
Thanks, Adam. I was just going to let you know, Adam, you may have seen that I went ahead and emailed you the October updates. So you've got all those, but what I'm just going to do is highlight a few of them that might be relevant to you all. So one really important one I want to share is that we are hiring lots of part-time seasonal employees. So we are just really getting a push out right now to get people to look at those positions and apply if there's one that's interesting to folks. Other thing I want to mention is there's a Halloween spooky trail walk at Fir Grove, which probably many of you know about. That's going to be there happening on Saturday, October 23rd from 4 to 7 p.m. And then for anyone else interested, the STIR Center is reopening, or it's reopened in September. And so program offerings are coming back, which is really good news for the community. And then there's also a senior giving campaign that we're doing there. We would love for anybody interested in donating or being a part of that program. I'll let you read about that on the webpage if you'd like to follow up at the STIR Center webpage. And then last thing to mention is that we are getting back into actively working on expanding affordable childcare in the district. So we do have limited space available. So if you're interested in that, check it out. We do work with our recreation centers. We partner with them and our Beaverton School District to make that happen. So yeah, and then of course there's some other announcements there. You can check them out. There's one last one that's kind of special for you all. So I wanted to mention it specifically as not a part of that list. But if you all are interested, and you might remember I've mentioned before the new neighborhood park that's coming to Southwest Baker and Lombard, which is technically in the Vos neighborhood. It's south of you, but very close to Highlands neighborhood. So that park, we've just finished the concept plan. We heard from hundreds of community members in the neighborhood about what they wanted to see in that concept plan. And I think you all will also appreciate that, there are a ton of old trees on that site. So we've really designed the park within that tree line as to not take trees out. And so if you are interested in taking a survey for that, we would love for you to do that, just to hear your feedback, or if you have neighbors or know other folks who'd be interested in taking that survey, that would be fantastic. And I will send that link to you directly, Adam, in the chat, and let you choose if you'd like to share that out more. And that's all I had for you all. If there are any questions or thoughts.
Liana, I think Reggie had a question about, is it Fir Grove Park or school?
Fir Grove, the park.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll double check on that, but I'm pretty positive it is the park. Yep, it's the park.
And what's the deadline on submitting the input on the Baker Lombard Park? Is it?
I'm sorry, what's that?
What's the deadline on submitting feedback on the Baker Lombard Park?
Thank you for asking, Adam. I completely forgotten to mention it. It's been open for several weeks, but I'm going to keep it open until we will have to close it on Monday, the 18th. Yeah. So just a few more days open on that one.
And Reggie has a question.
Yeah. Hey, Reggie.
Hello. Yeah, I love the design for the new park. My question was, could you repeat the date of the Halloween event at Fir Grove?
Oh yeah, sure. I want to say October 23rd. I'm going to double check. Yeah, October 23rd from 4 to 7 p.m.
Awesome. I'll try to make it. Sounds great.
Yeah, we'd love to have you there. That would be awesome. Any other questions or?
It doesn't look like we have any, so you can enjoy your evening, Liana.
Thank you. Just reach out if anything comes up.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Next, we need to move to another guest, Kim, with the fire district. I just learned that there's an election a few days ago, and they have a bond, and I wanted to get at least in the meeting since the election is November 2nd. Maybe Kim, you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for letting me join you. I'll have to bump off of here by 7 to an HOA meeting. where I'm also going to be updating folks on it. But yeah, I'm Kim Haughn. I'm a public affairs officer with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. In my region, I cover the northern region of the district, which includes Beaverton and Washington County, North Plains, and a few others. But yeah, I just wanted, we are, making sure people are aware that we are going to be on ballots again. I feel like we're on ballots pretty regularly lately. But this is for a bond ballot measure, and it's going to give voters an opportunity to decide whether or not TVF R can issue $122 million worth of proposed general obligation bonds for emergency services. And so just as a quick run through on what that would cover, that includes replacing apparatus such as trucks, engines, medic units, and rescue units and command rigs that are nearing their end of life, because we can't take them to the end of life. Obviously, we need to be response ready, and it's not like our cars where we can just drive them into the ground until we get the next one. And so it would do that. And then it would also fund updates to 10 of 29 fire stations. That includes seismic upgrades, security features, expansions, or living quarter modifications to those. It will rebuild the King City Fire Station in its same place. It was built in 1972. So the building itself, the structure itself, obviously is not seismically upgraded, and it's in need of a number of different updates to that. It will relocate the Aloha Fire Station. That fire station currently is at 209th and Blanton. If you're not aware, it's actually right on the border of TVF R and Hillsborough Fire. And Hillsborough Fire is going to be building a station in South Hillsborough now that their jurisdiction they cover that area that's under their jurisdiction. And so the property that we're on with that fire station and the buildings back behind it, we used to own all of that. We sold that to Washington County. I believe it's been a couple of years now. COVID has made everything warp speed. So it feels like it was just a few months ago, but I think that was a couple of years ago. And so Washington County Sheriff's Office will actually end up taking over that property and eventually closing up their East Precinct is what it sounds like. But we will then relocate our crews to a different location. Right now we've got property at 185th and Pheasant. And so that will more centrally locate us in Aloha as it is. And then Hillsborough Fire will come in and have their fire station in South Hillsborough and cover that area. So obviously we're not going to allow any, we're not going to leave anything high and dry as far as that goes. And then just a couple other things. It'll fund the first phase of safety updates to the training center. And that's where all of our firefighters and our paramedics go for any kind of training you can think of: fire suppression, EMS, hazmat, technical rescue, whatnot. And then it will also, funds will also help pay for future land for future fire stations, because a lot of where we know that there's going to be growth. And so we want to get ahead of the game. It's not unusual to purchase a piece of property ahead of time, especially at a much lower cost, and knowing that that whole area is going to develop. And South Hillsborough is actually a prime example of that, because like Hillsborough Fire plotted a piece of land in there, knowing that there's going to be pretty much a whole nother city in that area of tens of thousands of people. And then that way that, they'll be able to build that fire station and service that area once the occupancies show that there's a need for it. So right now, we actually have declining debt on a bond that was passed by voters back in 2006. And so the rate is 14 cents per thousand tax assessed value. And so with this one, because we were able to refinance, and we actually saved voters $3.9 million through the 3 refinancings that we did, the rate right now is actually at 14 cents. So when this comes in, while we can't call it a renewal or replacement, it will actually come in at that same value of the 14 cents per thousand. So it won't increase property taxes, ultimately, is what I'm trying to say. So that's where that comes in. If this does not pass, then everything that I just mentioned will have to be tabled and put on hold. And then you will see a gradual decrease in taxes as we decline that debt from that original general obligation bond. And the bond number is 34-308. I don't believe there's going to be a whole lot on this ballot on November 2nd. So we do encourage people to vote, because I know it's not a big election and there's probably not a lot on there, but we do want people to get out there and vote. And that is pretty much all I have, unless anyone has any questions for me.
How many years is the, if it goes to a yes, how many years will it take to pay the 122 million off?
So with bonds, what you do is you actually you issue them in segments, because you can't, like, they won't just give us $122 million in bonds right off the bat. You do it as you identify projects along the way. And typically the life of a bond to get it paid off is 15 years. So like the first round of bonds will be paid off in 15 years. And, you know, subsequently, we did this with the 2006 bond, and but there are opportunities, and especially when we see opportunities where we get lower interest rates, to refinance. And so that's why you hear about a lot of agencies trying to do that refinancing, because then it can save taxpayer dollars versus paying it off over that long period of time at a certain interest rate and not taking advantage of the varying interest rates. So yeah, ultimately that first round is 15 years, but obviously as time goes on and we have those other projects come along, that those then are 15 years and individually paid off. I hope that makes sense. Bonds are confusing.
Yes, it makes sense. Is there any questions for the fire district from anybody? For people on the phone, it's a *6 to unmute. All right.
All right.
It looks like we have no questions, and you can make your HOA meeting right on time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us last minute, Kim.
Oh yeah, you bet. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
All right. Okay. Back onto the agenda. We are still without Miles, but we can get through it without him. It is now time to do board member elections. Annie has let me know that she doesn't wish to run. And Ryan has let me know that he wishes to nominate himself. And basically we have as many board seats as we need. And I need to take nominations for people that are new. This is a elected from the neighborhood sort of operation. And then officers are chosen by the board after election. So I'm assuming that Reggie would like to be nominated and that Konnette would like to be nominated. Is that true?
That's true for me.
Me too.
Okay. And I spoke with Juanita yesterday, and she indicated that she wished to run for the board. Is that still true, Juanita? It's a *6 to talk.
Yes, that is still true.
Okay. So we have five people nominated. And something to note here, our treasurer is not running again, and she wants to take a year off. So we have lost our treasurer. Are there any other nominations for board membership from the neighborhood? All right. Hearing none, I'll close nominations. Konnette, could you unmute with me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't make this motion, but I can suggest to you that you make this motion, that we elect these list of 5 by acclamation. And what that means is there's plenty of positions and plenty of people in those positions, and there's no reason to pick and choose numerically unless somebody objects. So Konnette, if you would like to make a motion to elect these 5 people by acclamation, we can get this ball rolling.
I would like to make a motion that we elect the 5 nominees by mentioned tonight by acclamation.
Is there a
I
second to
will
that?
second that.
Thank you, Juanita. And now is a opportunity, anybody can object. Hearing no objections. All in favor, and this is people who live in the neighborhood can vote. This is an unusual vote because everybody can vote and not just board members. So in favor of the motion to elect these 5 people by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, these are 5 NAC board members for the next year. We can, of course, appoint others as necessary to fill our ranks. As far as officer elections, I am interested in remaining chair. I understand that the treasurer position is empty, and I'm willing to do that too. However, that would mean that I would not ever reimburse myself or do anything like that. But we could also have a treasurer of another officer if anybody is interested. Is there discussion on that with the president or the chair and treasurer positions? I'd volunteer Ryan for it, but he said no. Okay. Konnette, what positions are you interested in?
I would continue in the recording position.
Okay. Reggie, what are you interested in?
I would be willing to continue as vice chair.
Okay. And Juanita has told me that she's not interested in a officer position.
That's true.
I'm willing to be chair and treasurer. Konnette, are you interested in being the BCCI rep as well?
Yes.
Okay. I think that covers it. If this is the officer list, I could entertain a motion. I'm going to send this to you, Konnette, when we're done here.
Okay.
If this is the officer list, I could entertain a motion to approve these officers.
I move to approve these officers as listed on screen.
Is there
I
a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. If you don't want any, plenty of positions. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion carries. That takes care of that. I'll
Can
get
I
this-
just
Yes, Konnette.
mention so that changes quorum?
Yeah,
Okay.
quorum is 3 in this setup. And we're only missing 1 right now.
Hey.
Okay, now back to the agenda. Reggie, next on the agenda is the tree planting event. Do you have something you want to display?
Not tonight.
Okay.
I could give some brief updates on where we're at. So 24 trees have been ordered, or people have signed up that many. So that's 12 street and 12 yard trees. That's 16 properties. I will be putting in the request for a quote to some of our nursery partners next week. So the absolute latest for anyone to get back to the NAC about wanting a tree would be like this Monday, the 18th, no later. So that's right on target for where we want as far as the event. I will be in need of the debit card for the NAC to make some purchases related to the event, and then be prepared when we get our invoice from the nursery. Last time this occurred a couple of months after the planting event, so it could be an unusual timeline on that. So that's just how they operate usually.
Are they taking a check or are they taking a credit card?
I would give them our debit information so that they can bill us through there.
Okay.
Usually it's over the phone.
Annie has the debit card, is my understanding. And,
Okay.
And once you get it, once you're done with it, I'll need it back, and I'll have to figure out what to do, treasure-wise from Annie.
That sounds good. And we have 45 volunteer hours for the project logged so far. So that translates to about a little over $1,100 of matched funds so far. So we're on track to exceed our match from the city. So if we spend $3,000, we're going to get all of that reimbursed and then provide surplus value to the city and public as far as our volunteer hours and in-kind donations contributed. So I'm excited to update everyone at the end of the project when we have those numbers finalized. And we have 27 planting volunteers signed up so far. I'm not aware of any school groups that have signed up, but we have contacted, I believe, 21 groups within Beaverton and Southridge high schools and invited them to not only the planting event, but also our two Taliesin Park events and the Schiffler Park tree planting for February. So we're looking good on volunteers. It's not too late to get a tree or to sign up to volunteer. Again, the event is Sunday, November 14th from 1 to 4:30, starting and ending at Fir Grove Park. Just email highlandnactrees@gmail.com for more information or if you have any questions. Regarding the Schiffler Park tree planting, I took our feedback from a previous meeting, talked to folks from Central, and we decided on having that event Saturday, February 19th from 10 to 12:30. So save the date, mark your calendars. If you are all available and willing to come out as volunteers or just stop by during your walk or whatever, we love to see you. So that is definitely underway. We're going to be meeting with THPRD volunteer program staff soon and coordinating the finer details of the event. So that's our update on our Schiffler Park collaboration. And that's all I have. So the planting event or all of our events are on track, and I'm hoping to hear back from school groups on whether or not they'd be interested in coming out to support our NAC and our stewardship volunteer opportunities. And
Reggie, the social media promotion, I guess you'll need to work with me on doing that for the event, at least the event in our neighborhood. And we'll probably want to get that started this week. Making the events and filling out the engagement material about the where to meet and that kind of stuff. So we can follow up later on that.
That sounds good.
And then we can promote the Schiffler event closer to it, but we can predetermine the text of the social media promotion this far in advance if we wanted to.
Okay.
And then Konnette, do you want to talk
Yeah.
about the Ivy event?
Yeah, so we've got some good news on the AV events. I found out today that we have 11 people signed up for that event. That's this Saturday from 9 to 11:30 at Tualatin Park, which is, we're going to meet at the Highland, Highland and Hart entrance to that little park. Our budget does come, I was approved for less than, for $40 or less, and it came in at about 37. And Miles will be paying for that, as there wasn't a grant committee meeting at the time that we needed it to get the approval. Also good news is that due to Reggie's efforts, we already have 15 people for the final wrap-up part of that event, which is February 5th, where we will be planting the trees or the bushes, and we get the Southridge Sustainability Club would like to help us out. They say they would like to bring 15 people. If we get 10, I'll be very happy with that. So that was it was interesting. There was a program on the news about neighborhoods in Portland doing these kinds of projects, and this project was updated from just a ivy removal project to a habitat restoration project. We're doing it in partnership with THPRD, and they will provide us a coordinator and have helped us with recruitment of members. We'll provide some of the materials and the snacks and that sort of thing. We'll still do COVID precautions just as we did at the other two events. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. And wonderful on getting all the volunteers. Do you want to cover this?
I always am amazed how many people come in at the last minute. I worry about it every single time, and people do show up.
Okay. Do you want to cover the return to school safety program?
Talk about that? Yes. So on that project is nearing completion. The first parts of it were Miles helped us out with communicating with the neighborhood through our email roster. Also, he helped to design and send out to the entire neighborhood a flyer reminding people that where, in addition to some of our other events, it reminded people that the kids are headed back to school. That was before school started. And then on the 8th and 9th, we had a greeter program where we had 9 volunteers that stood on different, the primary routes to school with signs and vests, bright colored vests, and also reminding people that to slow down. The police helped us with increased presence around those school dates, as well as handing out some handouts. And we had over 50 yard signs put up in the neighborhood that advise people to slow down, that the kids are back on the routes as well. The final part of this project will be in February, and Annie was going to head that up. That's we've been working, in addition to Safe Routes to School and the Fir Grove principal Aaron Miles. We worked with Safe Routes to School. They provided us with the signs for free and vests and that sort of thing. And so we are helping them out by doing a what they call a map walk, where we walk the routes of the schools, the major school routes, and look for safety issues like signs, stop signs not being clear or improperly labeled crosswalks, or just any kind of a hazard to kids that could be on any of those routes. She can use that data as a priority list for her activities. That's where we're at.
And do we need to return the drive like it English Spanish signs to ODOT, or do we keep those?
We can keep those. I collected the ones. I didn't want people to feel like, you know, they didn't want to know quite when to get rid of the signs, and so I offered that to collect them, so we collected the ones, we have collected the ones that wanted them picked up, and other people wanted to just leave them in their yards. I've actually gotten a couple of requests since we wrapped up wanting signs, and I'll pass them out to people that want them. And then we would put them out again after the Christmas holidays, is just another reminder that the kids are back.
Yeah, we might want to come up with some sort of a rotation scheme so the drivers see the sign in a different place.
Mhm.
I don't know if they could flip the English Spanish side once in a while, or move it around in their yard, or share it with a neighbor.
I think that's a great idea. And also, we had a nice article in the neighborhood newsletter that Miles, did you write it, Miles, or was it?
He's not with us.
Oh, he's not with us right now.
He's running another neighborhood meeting that has the mayor in it.
Okay, well, so at any rate, we basically we were able to say go back to the traffic commission. They are changing the voting process. We are discussing some of the hotspot issues, and the letter said that they will be revisiting the 3 projects in our neighborhood that failed, to see if there is some mitigation that can happen.
Okay.
And that's another one that hit the news after our event, that about other neighborhoods that are looking closely at traffic.
Okay. Thank you, Konnette. And I want to share something that was I get random emails from community members, and I got somebody that was interested in bringing up a potential homeless shelter sighting on Allen Boulevard in my inbox. I investigated it a little bit. I see Miles is with us again. And basically the city is looking to site homeless shelter places in a number of areas in the city. And one that they're considering is a former DMV building on Allen Boulevard. And I actually don't know what building that is. Maybe some folks that remember where the DMV on Allen Boulevard used to be.
It's you know where the urgent care is? On the corner, it's almost on the corner of Murray and Allen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just east of that.
The medical building
the
that's been
DMV?
boarded up.
Yep. It's like
Okay.
a blue boarded up building. It's been sitting empty for about 15 years.
Oh, sounds like a good idea. In any case, the city is considering that site, and there is time, however you feel about that, positive, negative, to influence the city council on that. So if you're so inclined, there is a public process going on. And Miles, I think I covered everything.
I would just say on the public process, council has just started discussing creating a homeless shelter. They haven't even started looking at site criteria yet. So if they decide to move forward, they'll ask staff for site criteria, and then they'll approve those criteria, and then we'll look at different locations. And then council would make that decision. So it's super early in the process.
Okay. Any other comments from the community, or we don't have a lot of answers on this one, but I did want to bring it up since it was an issue of concern for a member of the community. Okay, Konnette or Reggie?
Oh yeah, I just was thinking, did the city council ever vote on whether or not to destroy the Beaverton Community Center?
I don't think any decision's been made on the community center yet.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I got an email back from a city councilor in response to public testimony, and they said like ultimately they decided not to sell the book corner property to a developer.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty important update. I forgot about that, but thought I should share.
Thank you, Reggie. And that kind of stuff you can tell me ahead of time and I can get it on the agenda. Okay. I think we should skip the fireworks discussion and keep moving on our agenda unless there's any objection here. Okay. Previous month's meeting minutes, they have been circulated by Konnette. Do we have a motion to approve them?
I move to approve the September minutes,
Okay.
unless there's a change that someone needs to make.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, you say aye.
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 I,
Because everybody voted yes, there can't be any no votes, so I won't call them. Traffic calming update, and Konnette, you alluded to that a moment ago, but we have had some movement on the traffic calming. Do you want to share more on that?
Well, I will with the help of Miles. They did not have when I attended the September meeting, there wasn't a quorum to take a vote on the part of the commission on the proposed revisions of the traffic calming project final vote process. But what the process was that it would be changed from a 67% of designated voters to a 51% of designated voters. We are still working on, there was some other pieces that have been brought to the commission that we are still working on, including omission of the referring to the non-return votes and including them in the no vote ballot total, even though that doesn't change the outcome of the vote, which still needs to be a positive vote, a positive number. It is misleading as to how close the vote actually was. So, and then the 5 focus votes pieces that we talked about still need to be looked at, but as I said, there is also a movement to look at the 3 projects that did fail within our neighborhood and look at those more closely and see if some of the safety concerns can be mitigated in maybe a more specific way than a traffic calming project for a street. So such as signage and that sort of thing. That's kind of where we're at right at the moment. Miles, do you have anything to add? No? Yeah.
And if you want to take on the BCCI update next, Konnette, that's next on the agenda.
Sure. Well, the BCCI meeting was on the 27th of September. They kind of started with a reminder that the BCCI stands for Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement. It's an overarching committee that covers overarching of the NACs. We all send representatives to that meeting. And with the feeling that a lot goes on in our neighborhoods, it's where we live, and that there is a lot of ideas and need for support within the neighborhoods. It's also a place where we learn about land use, planning initiatives, where matching grants are approved, where the voter forum is organized, and it has supported many events as well, such as the tree lighting program. Bridget, who heads the matching grant, gave a report on two of the latest large projects. One was the Theater in the Park project, where she mentioned that there was 187 attendees and 130 volunteers. So quite a large grouping of people participated in that. And that was a $3,000 grant. Also, the La Strada Chalk Art program was supported with a grant. They mentioned at the meeting about boards and commissions. They were taking applications up until October 4th, or reapplications. And the boards and commission members are required to also reapply, not whereas we have an election within our ranks. They have to reapply. So that was mentioned. Allison Tivnon was there. She gave the city update, talked about a number of the events. She mentioned that Ashley Hartmeyer-Pegg was the interim counselor, and that I believe at that time they were still looking to verify the election, but that at that time Hartmeyer-Pegg was out ahead. She mentioned that they're having, for the first time ever, a THPRD and city joint meeting on October 26th to talk about mutual priorities and that sort of thing. She mentioned the restaurant week, which went until October 3rd. Also, the still going on is the Beaverton Art Mix. It is a juried art event where there are cash prizes for artists submitting their work, and that would be a fun one. I've not been to. I think that might be the first event of that kind with us. I don't remember seeing that before. She talked about the reporter problem. One page on the city website that you can go to that incorporates contact information for all these various programs, like the code compliance, public works, mediation, police, discrimination complaints, and other miscellaneous kinds of things. And I did go to it, and it's a very helpful. I know sometimes when you have a problem in the neighborhoods, you don't quite know where you should go to find the right answer. This page is a good start, and I put that in the chat. That page number in the chat. She mentioned Elsie's store reopening and the book corner to remain in the community. The main presenter for that meeting was Rob Zoller. Also put, he's the head of the housing options project, and he had one of his very informative presentations. I put a link in the chat to the Housing Options Project where you can find out more information about that. But this is in response to HB 2001. It's a Oregon bill to require housing options to as one of the strategies to address the housing shortage and affordable housing specifically. Let's see. One of the big presentations was done by Sharon Dunham, who is proposing that, and this has kind of been part of some ongoing discussion that's happened within BCCI about the different NACs being able to collaborate on projects. And she was proposing that 3 of the NACs, including us, Sexton Mountain, and West Beaverton, began meeting and look to develop some projects together as a collaborative. There were suggestions for a disaster preparedness project, maybe some more on traffic calming and that sort of thing. And they were, so on the 13th, they had a meeting and I wasn't able to attend. I had other obligations, but they did meet, and when I hear what the results of that are, but that was mainly going to be a brainstorming and kind of level of interest type of a meeting. But I thought that that was a real good direction for BCCI to be going. And I think that's about it. Oh, the voters forum was discussed and it went over real well. They have, they did have some hiccups as they were trying a new broadcasting format, is my understanding, but they had lots of questions. They had, this was mostly between the candidates for council that that was held. So that's it.
And Konnette, the joint meeting between the city and the park district, do you know
Yeah.
if they're taking public testimony at that meeting, or is it a work session that they don't take testimony?
I think it's a work session unless, Miles, you know differently, but it just was to let us know that they were trying to be more conscientious partners, I think. Is that right? Yeah.
Looks like a yes. And the other potential project for the 3 NACs to work on is invasive species.
Oh,
Always a good one to work on. The English ivy and the what's the other species that we have, Reggie? The holly.
yeah, Holly.
Holly, Himalayan blackberry. One that we could really have an impact on would be tree of heaven.
You'll have to show us what that looks like sometime. I don't know what that one looks like.
That's the one, I had neighbors just talking about that. It has these really annoying pods that drop down from the tree. Isn't that right, Reggie?
Well, not, I wouldn't say they're pods. This tree is annoying. Not all trees that have pods are annoying. Certainly.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, it's not, yeah, we can have another discussion about trees of heaven later. I guess it's a lot to cover.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe sometime you could educate us. But invasive species, the easy one, English ivy, getting that out of people's yards really helps the park district and all surrounds. And that's actually something I was, if they're taking testimony at the joint work session, that I would bring up is the park district and the city can work together on invasive species, which is something that we need to tackle.
I'll send that over to Sharon. I sent her a list of my thoughts and stuff, but yeah, tree of invasive species work would be good.
All right, if you're done or no, does anybody have any questions for Konnette? It looks like a no. Miles, we're at the point of the city update, if there is anything.
Sorry about that. It's very hard to listen to two NAC meetings at the same time. The October news for the city is keep up the fight against COVID-19. Fall's here, school's back in session. We're starting to see some decreases, so want to keep it rolling. You can visit Washington County's website for vaccine information and mobile clinics. And then city resources are available on our website, beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus. On Saturday, the Beaverton Resource Fair is back. Beaverton City Library puts that on for families to connect with nonprofits that serve them. The event is 10 to 1 at the main library. And it's free and fun for the whole family with activities for kids, giveaways, and raffle. And there's lots of participating organizations. And finally, this weekend is the end of the Beaverton Arts Mix. So be sure to check that out at beavertonoregon.gov/BAM.
Okay,
And I've got to go again. Sorry.
all right, that's fine. Reggie has a hand up. What is it, Reggie?
Yeah, so I was able to make it to that meeting that Konnette was talking about. So we kind of looked at like various issues that we are concerned with as NACs, and kind of the three that we emerged with was emergency response, a park passport program, and tree issues, as well as like tree planting, specifically friends of trees. So it was a really good discussion, but part of that was we wanted to bring back to each of our NACs like a discussion on if we would be interested in having an occasional joint NAC meeting. So with other NACs, basically. And this could be like in addition or instead of our regular meeting. But I wanted to hear from our board on their thoughts, whether or not this would be of interest to them.
One of the problems is we typically have so much to do. If we were to dedicate a ton of time, like we wouldn't be able to have the community meetings, you know, like the land use action hearings and our ongoing program. So I would worry just a little bit about doing a joint meeting instead of our regular meeting, because then we won't get our business done. But I'm willing to do it.
We have the leadership meetings. And so they would be different from the leadership meeting.
I'm off now. I'm busy. Yeah. Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, I guess I'm interested in meeting, but like not formally. I am pretty booked with the existing NAC meetings and other meetings as well. So if we can do it like occasionally, but like not in an official capacity. And we're talking like board members. There would be the question of like whether or not this is official business and if we would need like a quorum there to make any decisions. You know, if this is like a meeting outside of our regular schedule.
The thing is, if we have a quorum, we need to announce it as a meeting and comply with open meeting.
Yeah, to me, that's like more, that like negates the like, you know, spirit of collaborating, because then it just becomes like extra work that kind of like takes away from the spirit of it, I guess. I don't know. That's how I see it. Like,
Is
that's
there-
why I want to
is-
keep it informal.
Is there more than just 1 or 2 people in West Beaverton now? Is it-
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. So like,
That's where Kate is at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kate's
Kate
a real
Arnold.
solid player out there. And there are a lot of really effective neighbors who are uplifting that NAC these days.
Okay.
So I guess in our context, people are curious about our tree plantings and stewardship events. So I shared that, but like basically to get tree planting events for other neighborhoods without having to reinvent the wheel. I talked about the idea of having a revised contract with the nonprofit Friends of Trees, where like they basically take care of all of the aspects of the planning as a nonprofit, and that's their focus. And that way residents and NAC members don't have to like come up with like, how do you create an event from scratch and get all the supplies and everything and come up with a matching grant. Like that can just be covered so that every single neighborhood has access to a tree planting event. Every single home in each neighborhood can sign up to get a tree and get tree help, resources, and meaningfully participate in a community event. So we're going to be looking at that in specifics.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. There's a lot of consensus on those 3 issues, basically. I don't know, Miles, did I miss anything as far as the meeting? I was only one from Highland there.
I think he's attending to another meeting.
Oh,
so
I
he
can't
probably
see
can't hear
anything.
you.
That's fine. All right, cool. Yeah, it was fun. I'd love to keep doing these, but maybe keep it informal.
Okay. So who's leading this? Are you leading this with the other NACs or Konnette or?
No, Sharon Dunham is.
Okay.
has-
So
Yeah.
she'll
And
arrange a meeting with us and we don't need to initiate that part.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like let her know our thoughts. And yeah, I can check in with everyone afterwards too. So yeah, it sounds like we have a
Reggie,
lot on our plate.
Did
Yeah.
they set up a next meeting or are they?
Not yet.
Okay.
They had talked about maybe a quarterly meeting. So nothing's been decided, but my goal was to just bring this up at our meeting tonight and solicit feedback from our board.
Okay. Well, I think you have it now. So
Thank you.
let's keep it moving. We're right at the end of the agenda. And is there other items that we forgot to announce that board members would like to get in? Okay. I do have one thing that may be of interest. The DEQ is currently working on a rulemaking for greenhouse gas regulation. It's a very thick 153 pages to read it. And then the comments are due October 15th. They just extended the deadline because well, it's a large rule. So I know folks have been interested in this in our group. If you care to dig into the details, the DEQ has an open comment period on the greenhouse gas rules that they're working on, open for another 9 days or 11 days. So be sure to look at that if you want to. And with that, are there any comments from visitors and guests that they would like to bring an issue up that we need to hear about? And it is *6 to unmute if you would like to. Okay, hearing nothing, I think it's time to adjourn. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And this meeting will be posted online. So if there's something that you missed or walked away and you want to watch it again, it will be posted on YouTube and Facebook shortly. And with that, have a good evening. And this meeting is adjourned. Bye.
Bye, everyone.